Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Quantum Messages. I'd like to introduce you to this new lesson that I'm going to be teaching today, which is what happens when we die, a quantum exploration. And so I've kind of been geeking out on this for a long time, and I personally am very curious about what happens when we die. And I also know that there are many, many people who have had near-death experiences, as well as been on like the precipice of death and have experienced paranormal activity. There have also been, tons and tons of documented information and about what has happened when someone has died based upon the observations of those sitting with those people. So I'm going to go into depth today, kind of following the whole quantum lens, because that is my fascination right now. And that is what I am deeply researching, trying to merge quantum physics with metaphysics into quantum metaphysics. And I believe that's where we're heading with science. And I also believe it will give us a better explanation of what happens to us experiencers, and also what happens in the afterlife, what happens to the soul, what happens to us when we are, walking in between these worlds. So, with that said, I also have a very interesting course that you can go to on my website, quantummessages1.com. And this course is called Dreams Jump on the Quantum Stream. It discusses the science behind dreams, also what happens in the hypnagogic in-between state before, as you're falling asleep and then waking back up, and how to connect to the unseen realms, and the integration process with all of this. It's an amazing course. It's $49. Go check it out. I also have a complimentary journal that I just published that goes along with it. It's a 21-day journal diving deep into your quantum self, as well as connecting with quantum messages and collecting your dreams and automatic writing, as well as doing a deep dive into the shadow self and releasing and also becoming friends with your shadow. So if you're interested in this, you can get on Amazon. I will have a link in the description below. If you are also interested in taking my course, Dreams Jump on the Quantum Stream, it is in the link below. So please check it out. Also, if you would like to join my newsletter, please sign up. And every month I write a blog, and there are new things that come up, and I will be sending out emails based upon the new information that is coming out. I will also be teaching in a health summit soon on Indigo Angel 222's website. So look out for that. She's getting it together. And about 12 of us are coming together to do amazing teachings on health. So check that out. That's coming soon. But any of my information, please check out my podcast, subscribe, like, share this video with people. And also, please join my newsletter and all the new information that's coming forth. Some big stuff is going to be coming forth within the next couple months. So let's dive deep into what happens when we die. So we don't know exactly what happens for sure. However, due to the observations of people who have been sitting with people during the death process, as well as near-death experiencers, humans have been collecting the evidence for a very long time. So I read this amazing book called A New Science of Heaven by Robert Temple. I highly suggest getting it. He goes deep into plasma, and he basically theorizes and collects argumentative evidence that plasma is intelligent. And so in one of his chapters, chapter 16, he talks about the death flash and the light flash. And so after reading this book, I began pondering the science behind death and the soul's exit as a physical body dies. And so I do believe there is a definite correlation between biophotonics, plasma, and quantum energy. And so from this, we all know that technically everything is quantum energy. We're made up of quantum particles. So I believe there is a hierarchical structure to this. And I also believe that the ancients were keen on this, and they knew of quantum physics, and it was discussed in their ancient literature and or their ancient magic, quote unquote. So I'm going to be discussing that at the end of this lesson, but I highly recommend getting this book. It is kind of technical, but you can get it on Audible and listen to it a little bit at a time, and or buy the book and kind of like reference it. But it's a lot of good stuff. So there had been reports at the time of death for both animals and humans. There was what people call a death flash or a life flash. So what people have been saying is that this light flash that happens is a wisp of energy being emitted from the body at the time of death. So my question is, why is this happening? How is this happening? And how come some of us are able to see it and some of us are not able to see it? Maybe it's because we're in such deep emotional grief and sadness at the time of death of the person that we don't see it. And sometimes when people die or animals die, we're not physically there, so we're not seeing what's happening. But I believe if we start understanding this on a deeper level and we can start putting science behind this and proving this, then I believe that people will be less afraid of death. And my deep exploration into death happened when I was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 39. And, when you're diagnosed with cancer, it's kind of a life or death experience. And so you have to accept and become friends with death. And so, and also let go of your fear of death if you want to heal. And so a lot of my exploration started then on a personal level, but my kind of dabbling into understanding what death was happened prior. So supposedly the death flash emits this mist. Okay, so there's the death flash, and then there's this mist that happens that comes out of the body, usually around the heart center and or the third chakra. And I believe it's a way that the life force and the soul come together to be released together to transition into the next phase of the soul's journey. And so what Robert Temple said in A New Science of Heaven is that there is some type of relationship between the physical body and any animating plasma body that coexists with it. So then it goes deep into the science behind plasma, and that, we are plasma is what he's saying, and that the plasma, after it's released out of the physical body at the time of death, is transformed into this different type of substance, which then goes into the next phase of the soul's journey back to itself, basically, or back into the next incarnation, or back into the review. So we'll go into that a little bit. So what's very interesting is, I always have to tie this into quantum energy, quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum metaphysics, quantum messages. And so, because I believe that there is a correlation, and we are so close to being able to explain this and understand it. So what happens is so there's an emitting of quantum energy. So when you emit quantum energy, it means releasing a discrete and visible amount of energy. So when the energy is released, there's a discrete amount of visible energy that is released. And we have to think of it as like a package of energy being sent out together, rather than energy being emitted continuously spewing out. It's almost like it's containing its force, it's containing its energy in this little package, and it gets emitted out together. So we have to think of it like this. This is a fundamental concept in quantum physics, and explains how energy is transferred at the atomic and subatomic levels. Okay, so this is the subatomic is like the quantum, it's below atomic. And there's proof now in science that there's even something even smaller than subatomic and quanta. And I'm going to be exploring this at a later date, probably in a month or now. But for now, this is where we're going to go with this. So my question is does this have something to do with biophotons? Yeah. Okay. So in this picture, you can see there is a human, and there was a picture taken of him with special technology, and it shows that there is heat in certain parts of his body, so in the head part. So it shows that we are emitting biophotons. And so then we have to go back to what are biophotons. So biophotons are within the electromagnetic spectrum, and they are a type of electromagnetic radiation. They're ultra weak photons emitted by living organisms, typically in the visible and ultraviolet light spectrum. These photons are generated through various biochemical processes within the cells. So here's a picture of kind of the electromagnetic spectrum. It goes what penetrates from the Earth atmosphere, showing here the wavelength of it: radio, microwave, infrared, visible, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma ray. It shows the waves that actually happen. It shows what parts or what physical objects are creating the different types of waves. The atomic nuclei goes even further than gamma and probably creates even, when we're going deep into quantum physics, all of this changes. There's a frequency behind this. And there's also temperature. So measuring the biophotons, you can see the temperature within the body. That also tells that the person is emitting biophotons because there's heat. Now, this is based upon physical reality. This is based upon third dimensional reality. So this is what we're able to measure using classical physics. What is the difference between electromagnetism and quantum physics? Because there is a difference. Electromagnetism is the physical reality, classical physics, and then quantum physics explores something on the subatomic level, even smaller. So quantum physics explores how matter and energy behave, excuse me, on extremely small scales, like atoms and subatomic particles. Electromagnetism, on the other hand, explains how electric and magnetic forces interact and influence charged particles. So the particles are quantum, but this is showing how the magnetic fields and the electric fields are affecting them and interacting them and influencing them. So although electromagnetism is usually seen as a classical theory, it's been brought into the quantum world through the ideas like quantum electrodynamics, which blends both fields together. When we start blending both fields together, it makes more sense. It's not separated. We're not separated from reality. We're not separated from quantum particles. We are part of the whole. We are quantum particles. However, so that is the case, but however, quantum particles are in electric and magnetic fields. They act according to the rules of quantum mechanics. Their interactions with these fields aren't just called classical, they follow the quantum principles. So this is where the whole quantum physics comes in. This means things like energy levels being quantized, particles behaving like both wave and particles, and even entanglement can all happen during these interactions. So understanding the physical dynamics and quantum dynamics of all of this helps us better understand what happens to us when we die. So one other very important fact is, I talked about this before, I had this slide before, but we need to remember this fundamental fact. We need to remember and ask the question, what produces quantum energy? So photon emission creating quantum energy. The photon is a transverse wave. When it is created from an electron in an atom, it is a short-lived vibration. Thus, it becomes a discrete packet quantum of transverse wave energy. So this is more of energy dynamics. This is more of the electromagnetic radiation. But in this photo, you can see that this person, when taking this photo with specialized technology, is showing where there's heat in the body. And so we can all take a picture like this and see the biophotons being emitted from our body. So I find this very fascinating and interesting. And I believe that there is a link between this quantum energy and this death flash that happens when we die. So one other thing that's really important, so just to go into depth behind the science, is that, just want to let you guys know, and I've used this picture before, is that this is the first picture taken of a photon. This photon looks alive. It looks like it is vibrant with energy. It also looks like it is, I don't know, it looks like an eye to me. So it's like looking at us. And so with biophotons, they're light particles produced within living organisms, including humans. So if we have biophotons within our body, then we have photons looking like this within our body that are intelligent. So these ultra weak photon emissions are generated through a metabolic activities. So, just living in general, eating and doing things. Okay, the way the body is producing heat and energy, and can be detected as they radiate from the skin using specialized equipment like photo multiplier tubes. So they can, prove that this is being radiated from the skin. Similarly, bio-electrons are electrons present within the body, and their activity can be assessed using techniques such as electric photonic imaging. So this is kind of the science behind it. And there is a link between this and death for sure. So, I've been going deep into the science, and then I'll kind of go more into the death process, but I believe all of these things lead up to why and what happens when we die. So biophotons, as I just said, are light particles emitted by living organisms. Quantum coherence. So this research suggests that biophotons may exhibit quantum coherence. So working together, it is a coherent field. It is a whole field. This field is unity. It's unified and it's intelligent and it's able to communicate with each other. When I think of coherence, I think of intelligence. So there is a role in neural processing. So it is proposed that biophotons are integral to the brain's quantum information processing, potentially facilitating synchronization and integration within neural networks. So they are intelligent. So they're able to facilitate the communication within the quantum information processing within our brain, within our neural networks. And there's more information that has been proven with this that I will go into science at a later date. Electromagnetic fields in living systems. So because of this, it creates electromagnetic fields, which could be central to biological processes. So anyways, these insights indicate that biophotons might play a significant role in the quantum mechanisms underlying our life in this third dimensional reality and consciousness itself. And it goes back to that fundamental fact that every single living thing, every particle is intelligent. So even though this pen is, seems inanimate, we are going back to the fact, and I think we're going to be able to prove very soon, that all parts, all objects, everything is alive, like animism. But now it's going to go into probably quantum life, quantum mechanics, quantum metaphysics, that all parts are whole, all parts are part of the whole, and all parts are living in one way or another, which is very fascinating. So what happens is neurons in the brain, this is proof, and if you would like to see some of the evidence that I've collected and the references, you can go into the description below. But anyways, neurons in the brain emit extremely faint light particles known as biophotons, which range in wavelength from near ultraviolet to near infrared. These biophotons may serve as an additional communication channel in neural information processing, complementing traditional electrochemical signals. So this is just going more into, the science behind these things, and that we are a living system. So we have to think, going back to the question, what happens when we die? What is this smoky light mist that so many people have experienced at someone's deathbed? So what is emanating from this? So in this picture, I'm trying to show that there is a light flash coming out from the person who is passing. And this light flash is coalescing into some quantum particles, or maybe it's transitioning into a quantum particles, then which within this transition process from releasing from the body, it moves into its more energetic soul form, which then is able to release and leave the body. I truly believe there's some connection between the heart chakra and our crown chakra. There is definitely a link between here. And I believe that when this soul flash happens, it either comes out from here, from the crown chakra, or from the heart chakra. And so it is the soul and the life force leaving the body with memory based upon the person's life experience. So as I've said below, people have reported multiple times seeing this misty type glow rise from the dying body, which is really interesting. There have also been many reports of people seeing the misty substance rising out of the body, but then forming into the human shape that it was. So, and then disappearing into the quantum realm, I believe. And so I believe that it's forming into the shape because it's still bound to this space time. It's still there's still the life force kind of bound to the body, because it actually takes a long time, longer than what we think, for the whole body to be considered dead. And I don't have the exact numbers right now, but I know it's much longer than what we think it is. And so there's some energetic connection between this mist and the body. So people have actually seen, like, it's like this big, supposedly, that the mist comes out, it forms in the shape of the body that it's leaving, and then it looks at the person who is sitting with the dying person, and then it moves on. There's also been people where they sense a presence, so they sense something and they feel energy as a soul moves from the body. They might not be able to see it, but they sense something. And so I've experienced this before. When my cat died, this is my childhood cat, I was leaning over my cat as he was dying, and so it was almost like a heart-to-heart connection, and I felt the presence. I felt his essence move up out of the body through the heart center, interestingly enough, and then through me and then up and out. And I'm a very sensitive person to energy. And so I knew that it was my cat's soul leaving the body. And as I said before, there has been multiple accounts since time immemorial of this light mist presence to rise and disappear. And so there's been research that has been done in the past, and which is very interesting. And you can go more into the depth of the research with some of these books, like Robert Temple's book, and also this other book called Science of the Soul, the Afterlife and the Shift by Claude Swanson, PhD. This is volume 3 of the Synchronized Universe series, and he goes into scientific depth about this kind of stuff. But supposedly the soul weighs about 21 grams. And so there have been scientists in the past that have weighed the cadaver, the dead body, and after the person has passed, and supposedly the energy that has been released, or whatever has been released, was around 21 grams. So I find it very, very interesting. I believe this 21 grams that is being released from the body is probably the essence that's leaving it as it's transitioning into the next phase. So is it the biophotons, I'm curious, that emit the light once the body dies? And based upon the Egyptians' understanding of the soul, it seems like this would make sense, because the Ka is the life force double of the body. Okay, so the Ka is what stays in the body. The Ba is the person's personality and spirit. And this personality or spirit is the one that is able to leave the body on astral travel and or outer body experiences, and or maybe it's the Ba that actually leaves when there's a near-death experience. We're not 100% sure yet. And then there's also the Ib, the heart. So all of the seat of the emotions, the thoughts, the consciousness during that life of that person. And then I'm going to go into more depth after, the death. Usually the heart is believed to be weighed. So that's very interesting. And then there's the shoot, the person's shadow self. Okay. And the shadow self, I definitely believe, is something that we need to become friends with, not hate. We cannot cut off the shadow self, because based upon the Egyptians' understanding of the soul, the shadow self, the shoot, is part of the whole being. We cannot cut it off. And then there's the Ren. So this is like the person's name. I believe the Ren, and I forgot, I should have looked up this before, but I believe it's the person's secret name, the soul name. And so when you take all 5 of these things of the soul, it would make sense that they would coalesce into 21 grams. And that the key to the soul leaving the body is the Ka. The Ka is our life force. And the reason why the Ib is measured and weighed at the end is it's because it represents everything that we've done in this lifetime. And so, have we cleaned up our karma? Have we been of service? Have we did we, complete our mission by incarnating into this lifetime? So all of these things are weighed, and I believe, based upon other accounts, that we all go into a review stage after we die. And so maybe during that review stage, that is what the Egyptians were talking about, is where the heart, the emotions, and the soul itself, and the memories of our incarnation during this lifetime will be weighed. So like I said, the Ka is the anchor of the body. And it's the Ba that could leave at nighttime, when you're sleeping, in the in-between state. That's why it's so important to be able to collect your dreams, understand your dreams, understand the in-between state, and the hypnagogic state, when you are in meditation and or falling asleep, basically, because that is when our Ba is leaving. So if we understand that we are deeply connected to our physical body through the Ba and the Ka and all the other parts of the soul, then we can start collecting the quantum messages that are being sent to us. And so we can start having a multidimensional experience, and instead of being stuck in this, thinking that we're stuck in this reality, basically. So this is a picture from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Papyrus of Ani. And this is where they are weighing the spiritual heart. And so what I did is, I can't remember what was there before, but I put a light. And so they weigh the heart against the feather. So, and if you think about it, it completely and utterly makes sense. And I believe the spiritual heart might be connected to the soul. And the heart is, like I said, the emotions, the memories, everything that you have done in this lifetime. And if you have collected dense, heavy, dark energy, if it's going to be weighed against that feather, obviously it's going to, they're not going to be balanced and equal. So I feel like this is an extremely poetic picture. And now that I'm starting to understand quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum metaphysics much better, it completely and utterly makes sense. So just going back to the whole quantum realm again is, we are all quantum particles. This is proven. We are 99.9999% space. And maybe as a physical body dies, all the quantum parts of our subtle bodies coalesce and get distributed into one intelligent, misty essence. And so, as I said before, the physical body has to stay. Since we borrowed our body from the earth, the physical body is the earth's quantum particles, which we need to return to her, because she is allowing us to have an experience in this physical state, in this third density realm. But when we pass and we transition on in the time of death, we have our own soul essence and quantum particles and memories gathered that move together into the next soul phase. So we transform once we die, and our subtle energy layers coalesce into soul essence with the imprinted frequency in the quantum and the collection of all the memories we have obtained, past, present, and future, so that we can go where we need to go once it's that time. Supposedly, and this has been documented multiple times from many experiencers, is that we have our guides and possibly our ancestors, like grandparents and stuff, parents, that help us transition into the next worlds. It has also been stated in hypnosis, past life regression, specifically with Dolores Cannon and her work, dreams and near-death experiencers, that we go through a review. So in the review process, we review our life, we collect ourselves, we might go through a healing process, and then we get ready for the next incarnation. And the next incarnation might not be in human form. And as I said before, based on Dolores Cannon's work, we are multidimensional, and this is only one aspect that we're experiencing right now of the whole reality. And there is so much more out there. Also, new evidence from quantum physics is that we are hyperdimensional, which is beyond the multidimensional paradigm. And right here is an 8-dimensional quasicrystal. And to me, there have been multiple accounts that we are living in an 8th-dimensional or 8th density universe as of this moment right now, or maybe 8th density galaxy. And that if that is the case, then it would make sense that it was hyperdimensional, because if you look at this picture, it looks like a hyperdimensional reality. There's so many parts to it, and it also looks like a web. And even though it is beyond what we can fully see and comprehend, everything is connected to the whole. It is one whole organic unit. So here are some big questions. Are you afraid of the unknown? How deep are you willing to go? Let go of all fear and allow consciousness to permeate every particle within your body. When we go back to the remembering that we are basically 99.9999% space, then we are these quantum particles, or even maybe smaller than quantum particles. And these particles are alive and they're intelligent. And so once we start allowing that to permeate our essence and remember who we are, then we can start letting go of the unknown and the fear of death. This is also a big one. Within the universal ocean of energy, imagine yourself as a quantum wave, a pulsating resonance of energy and information intertwined with the universal consciousness, showing that everything is one. All is one, and one is all. These are 5 fundamental questions that you should ask yourself as you are moving forward in your life. A lot of us have come into this life and have forgotten why we have come here. We have also forgotten what our mission is. The most important thing to do right now is to complete our missions and to be of service to Mother Earth and to our highest selves and to our hyperdimensional, multidimensional realities. So once we start asking these fundamental questions, then we can start beginning to step into why we have come here. Who am I? Why am I here? What must I do? Where do I come from? Where am I going? Start asking yourself these questions, and I bet you'll be super surprised by what you come up with. And it will start helping steer you maybe on the direction and the mission that you need to complete in this life. Here's another big one too. We have the ability to walk between the worlds. Consciousness is not bound to your body. It's connected to the universe. We are the universe. We are part of the universe, and we are intelligent beings. And every part of ourselves is of this intelligence and this consciousness. It's a hierarchical structure of consciousness. But once we start allowing and maybe potentially connecting to, we can start connecting to these higher dimensional realities. Another big question is a drop of water in the ocean separate from the ocean? The answer is no. Just like your quantum particles are not separate from all the other quantum particles in time and space. So that's why they always use the analogy of the ocean. So it's very similar to the same thing. We're a drop, and we are not separate from the ocean. We just think we're an individual drop, an individuated consciousness separate in our own little bubble, but we're not. We're really part of the whole. And going back to that fundamental term, all is one and one is all. These are some things to consider. Connecting to the unseen realms prepares us for death. We have a very short time here. In the blink of an eye, we're going to pop in and pop out just like mushrooms, just like what Sadhguru says. And he's said this multiple times. Basically, we pop in and we pop out like mushrooms. So what do we need to do? We should get right with yourself, or, we should get right with ourselves. We should get right with our relations in the earth. We came here for a specific reason, and we need to complete our missions. Experience is infinite and never stops. Maybe we came here for a break so that we can forget it's never ending. Enjoy your time and be grateful. This is a wonderful resource. It's Science of the Soul, the Afterlife, and the Shift. If you want to go deeper into death and dying and what happens in the afterlife, I highly suggest you get this book. There's multiple references, and you can also do research as well. Here's my other, once again, I talked about it before, but this is my Dream Archetype and Symbol Journal. It's now available on Amazon to purchase, either to complement my course, which is Dreams Jump on the Quantum Stream, or for your own exploration. And if you are interested in a discovery call, you can also sign up for one for 30 minutes for free on my website. And then, yes, sign up for my newsletter, to receive my newly published blogs, and any info about what's new. Go to quantummessages1.com, or you can purchase my course for only $49 called Dreams Jump on the Quantum Stream. Anyways, thank you so much today for listening to this. I hope it has been educational, and also maybe help you start asking questions about what happens when we die.